everyone, and welcome to the finale of the Renewal of Red Row, our Spire, The City Must Fall actual play. I am your game master, Alyssa, at A Disaster Queer, and I will pass it to my players to introduce themselves before we get into a recap and into the game itself, starting with Joe.
Hello, everyone. I'm Josephine at Scary Dog Friend. I will be playing Freddy. I am the Ink Weaver and very normal, fine person.
Next up is Nadine.
Okay.
It's me, Nadine. I'm playing Emir, our resident sad boy ×1. I'm super excited to be playing. It's a finale. I'm stressed. I don't know what happened last time, but that makes sense because neither did Emir. So, over to Rook.
Hi everyone, I'm Rook, RJK Games on socials, and tonight I will be playing Marigold, our resident sad boy number 2, the Bound. Nada.
And hello, everyone. My name is Neda or Nur, and I will be playing De Niro, the Knight. He uses he, him. I use they, them. Conflict of violence versus non-violent action going underway currently. So, see how it goes.
Yeah, so previously, Emir went off to confront his old mistress, Adea Blooms at Night. She had asked him to meet at a property up in Ivory Row, where she made it clear very quickly that she just wanted to continue using him for her own purposes, specifically with the living neural network at the property where they had met. Emir, surprisingly to me, was very good at standing up to him for himself and turned around and turned her in. Meanwhile, or rather the next morning, saw the rest of our group going to a protest led by the concerned business owners of Red Row, which is basically a front for Mr. Winters. But that's fine. They were protesting the city council vote to approve Leia Shines the Light's, basically, Red Row restoration project, which gives her or anyone with money eminent domain if they declare that the rebuilding or project they were doing would be for the good of the neighborhood. Let's see. Freddy had a talk with both the guard / city council member, Morning Rose, and also with Mr. Winters, who was very sad at her. Marigold confronted and threatened one of the servants of the three sisters, who are another power of Red Row. They had previously contacted Marigold for a job, which he quickly turned around for his own and for the apartment's own good. And yeah, Freddy found a priestess, and she and Marigold basically frightened Shines the Light from speaking up as a sort of counter protest at this event, and everything was good. The community turned up. The police did not arrive, possibly because they were paid off. And it was just a very lovely community coming together to counter this initiative. We will start our episode the evening after the protest, when the evening of the protest, rather. It's the same day still. Where y'all are returning to your apartment building, after everything, after the long day. And De Niro, you find a message. Not taped, I guess, just sort of like hammered into the door of your unit on the outside.
I check to see if anyone's around. Probably, obviously, no one's around. And he checks his door to make sure it's locked, and then he reads it.
Yeah, it's on a just scrap of paper, almost like an afterthought. But it has a familiar address, the same one you received a few days ago when you asked for the address of Kaya, the agent who possibly ruined your family and is now in charge of the bank that is buying up your property. And it just lists that address and says, your friend and I are waiting.
I think he takes the note. Because I always forget how many floors are between the order of the floors. Not that it's ever important, but if Amir's apartment wasn't the first on the way, it'd be like, which I only have so many friends who live here, so he's gonna probably just go down to the first and then go up, check on everyone, and then check Amir's door again.
Yeah, I mean, I assume it is locked. I assume Emir locked his door when he left last night. So, door is locked. There's no sign of disturbance. But if you knock, there is certainly no answer.
Okay, then he deliberates on whether or not to go alone because that has been his primary problem for the past few days. I didn't need to see you shaking your head. He's gonna call for Emir, he's gonna rally the rest. He's also gonna make sure Theo in his respective room is away or occupied.
Yeah, Theo, I think, is not in his apartment, but you can hear his voice coming from Mrs. Jenkins. There is a lot of sort of excitement about his role in the protest, protecting her and everyone else. And you can hear him sort of showing off his armor again for probably the 30th time that day.
Okay, but he still smiles at that. That's very relieving to him. For as intentional as he is going through the building now, he has a bit of a lighter step. And he gathers, because also he is probably trying to decipher this handwriting, probably without a roll. Still wouldn't be able to gather any info, but he will gather that with the intent to show the note. Probably in front of Freddy's door, I think, if it's the topmost.
Freddy, do you answer when De Niro comes calling?
Yeah.
And then
what?
Yeah, he probably knocks as you open the door and is like, okay, I don't know, I got something, which I wasn't expecting. And he it was crumpled in his hand by how tightly he was holding it, so he just very gingerly, kind of pathetically opens it. And he's like,
Piece of trash?
No, this was at my door. Sorry. Fuck. This does any of this handwriting mean anything to you? Because I'm not dumb enough to assume that this means
And what does it say exactly again? It's we have your friend, or our friend and I are your friend
is
talk.
waiting for you.
Is waiting for you. God, could I make an investigate? Investigate? And is this have anything to do with blackmail?
I think that this does have something to do with blackmail. So you get an extra dice for that. And let's say investigate low society or crime. This is crime.
I have low society, if that's
Okay, yeah, that's good.
10.
Okay. You do not recognize the handwriting specifically, but I think that you've worked with enough folks up Spire to sort of recognize that even though this is just a scrap of paper, it's a nice heavy weight. It's a heavy quality. And so as if you're an afterthought to whoever wrote it, but whoever wrote it is someone in some nice circumstances.
Do you know anybody up Spire?
No one that would extend beyond an employee-employer relationship. But that's kind of faceless, you know?
Who are they talking about?
Well, I don't know if you've checked on Emir's room, but he's not there. Still, I haven't tried to break in yet, but there's no actual indication of whether or not they're okay. So that's because everyone else that I know was at the protest, so that's everybody else accounted for, right?
Okay. Is Marigold around? Like, is
Marigold appears behind.
Jesus?
Like, there's a visible shiver up De Niro's spine that you see, and he's like, "Yes, I didn't even think to go to the room personally, but it's so lovely. It's so lovely to see you, Marigold. I'm assuming you heard everything."
I heard most of it. Yes.
And then
One
De
more-
Niro shows you the note.
One more question about the note. Does it have a specific location on it?
It does. It has a specific address, and I can't remember, but if Emir actually showed you the note that they had received, it is that same address.
Okay.
I don't know that they specifically showed you that, but
I
it's an
don't
address that you recognize as being in Ivory Row.
And I have a knack for understanding organizations and gangs. Would it ping anything for me?
I think that it's not a specific, you don't know of any organization or gang that specifically sort of sends notes out like this or does this kind of kidnapping and blackmail, but
The address.
the address itself, no.
Okay, cool.
No known affiliations.
Cool.
We gotta go.
I know. I think so. Anyway, it's just going to be dangerous. So, are you prepared? And then there's a look on De Niro's face that shifts from more steeled and resolved to resigned, as he kind of rubs at his head a bit and is like, throughout the whole ordeal, I've honestly not been feeling very useful. So if there is ever an instance in which I can put my body on the line. If there's something like that, then you can count on me.
I'm gonna get my gun.
Perfect.
Are there any other preparations y'all would like to make before you head off?
This is a genuine question. Were we going to break into Emir's room, or
Oh yeah, would you like to? You can.
I just heard someone mention that like offhand, and I was just wondering if that's something we were actually doing.
Well, Daenerys didn't want to be rude, but like we still could, you know, like what if
We might as well.
messed up his fucking place? Sure.
Might as well.
Nadine, are you as a player comfortable with us doing that?
Absolutely, go for it.
Cool.
Let's do that.
Marigold turns to you and is kind of like, if you want to search Emir's room, we can do that.
Right. I'm sure that he'll be able to accept any kind of apology for fucking things up. That's a secretive guy for sure, but it's still worrying. Yeah, we should do that right now. Actually, let's go.
We approach the door. Marigold kind of reaches out, touches the handle, and uses the Saint of Ways ability, and you just hear a click as the door unlocks.
Wow.
That's just something I
You
could.
could-
that I've
you
been
could do
able
that
to
the
do
whole
that this
time?
entire time.
You've
You
been
could just do that. Why couldn't you? Okay.
Rook just like low-key has the coolest fucking character, and we're all like, dee, 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 dee.
Okay, the only
It's actually
time
me.
we've ever had a reason to break into somewhere is when you all wanted to fuck that guy.
I didn't want to fuck him necessarily.
It was for the greater good.
Right, when we needed to fuck that guy for the greater good. So,
Exactly.
yeah, the door opens easily, which I'm sure Emir will appreciate, not having property damage on top of the rest of his problems. But
I shoot the handle.
I was gonna ask if you like tried to kick the door in or something, but
I
Marigold.
unlock the door and then you shoot it anyway.
Right. I'm sure that'll send a lovely message to them, whoever he is.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you that you don't find anything out of place necessarily related to this, but Emir, do they find anything interesting in general, I guess?
I think you find like a like a home good, like a, I don't know, Living Weekly or something akin to that on the bedside table, and you're like, what a fucking odd place to find this like homemaking, homeware. It has like knitting projects, and it has like recipes. It's, why is it on the bedside table is the main question. And then I think in the kitchen you find just several jars of pickles, just like several. I think you're wildly disappointed with how boring Amir's room is, or glorified room, studio apartment. But it is neat and orderly, apart from maybe like the other side of the bed, which he kind of just occasionally throws clothes at, and he's like, I'll get to it.
Freddie, how are you actually interacting with this apartment though? Like, are you just like, ooh, this is an opportunity for secrets? Or are you like, this is someone I care about, so I'm going to attempt to respect their privacy?
Is there a desk? Is there cabinets? Is there papers?
There's probably like an approximation of a
Pictures?
writing desk. It's more just a glorified drawer. But there's a couple of like actual drawers that you can pull out.
I pull them open.
There is a broken mask. It's half black, half white with 2 gold tears streaming down.
This is your pre-durance mask.
Correct.
And how
There's
is
a
it
couple of
broken?
like notes and stuff as well. It's broken in half. It's
In
like
half.
it's like a this kind of half, so it's broken like that.
Sort of touch it and remember the like memory of our masks, not necessarily together, like us wearing them and like noticing each other by just the simplicity of the masks, but also how viscerally symbolic they were to what we were always supposed to be. Mine was always the mask of like the maiden, or like the one who was supposed to turn the tide, be the rite of spring sort of concept, always the princess, but not necessarily anything else. And I do look through the notes in any like envelopes.
I think you find the first couple, almost like the ones that are on top and most recently used or reread, are kind of simple letters back and forth between different, I guess, friends within the complex, within the society that Emir was a part of at that point. Different kind of servants and other people under durance. There's a fond one with Mike, where they're playing insert specific Spire game that would be like chess, but like over Leicester. And then there's one very kind of like almost angry in the most respectful way possible, of a letter that he sent to Adea about Marielle, the kind of protege, basically asking Adea not to make her another him. You can't find a response. And then there is perhaps a letter between the two of you. You can make up what it was, what the contents was.
If presumably this is when we were very young, maybe like almost 10 years ago or something like that.
For sure.
It's probably about it wasn't an outright, because there was never an outright warning that Freddie is about to leave any of the lives that she is about to exit, but it is very much like a almost manic, like nearing chicken scratch letter of like no actionable items, just talking at you, needing it to get to someone somewhere about like, I'm nearing marrying age and I am so just out of my wits, my mind right now, and I don't know what I can do. I don't know how I can make myself stay here. I don't know what I am going to do without you, and I'll miss everyone, and I literally have no experience. But I don't know what to do. And she kind of like, is cringing at like this young version of herself. And she like looks through to see if I presumably she had either did she get your response or did you respond back to her at all?
I think you see with this particular letter, it's like double fold, like duressed. One by obviously someone is holding it and reading it, folding and refolding it. But then it has obviously been ripped as well. It's not how you sent it. I would say like maybe the top left corner has been ripped off, almost as if one person was holding one end and another person was holding the other end and had ripped it away. You know that you never received a response from this.
Got it. And I think at the time I was probably glad. And I didn't wait a long time before getting a response before I left. She just puts everything back, folds it to the way that approximately it was, and just slides the drawer shut. Yep, he's not there.
Well, yeah, I thought that was obvious. Are you okay?
I would love to just find him.
That would make everything okay, wouldn't it? Okay. Need does not press you any further.
Shall we go then?
Yeah.
All right. And as y'all make your way up Spire in a trip that has become very familiar in this past week, we will flash back to Emir last night. You had immediately turned on Adea and cleverly gotten security of the building where she asked you to meet to take her into custody and let you walk free. And you were able to make it through the canals and all the way down to Red Row, almost to your apartment building, before someone caught up with you. They are dressed in dark clothes with a mask that's wooden and similar to Marigold's. It doesn't have horns, but it's very sort of simply wrought. And their hood and arms and legs are all sort of bound in a red twine that you recognize as a lot of people from the perch sort of dress in this fashion, but it seems like they must have been following you for a while, but only make themselves known right as you are maybe a block from the building, falling out of the shadows of the alleys.
I think.
Sorry, give me a second. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
Reading chat, and it's a bad idea.
Oh yes, yes. I think Mia stops and slowly turns to face this person. And in a confident manner that doesn't betray his stress levels, says, "To what do I owe the pleasure of being followed in the middle of the night?"
Oh, you owe it to your friend, the guard. I didn't think that he was the type to send other people on his dirty business, but that just shows how little we know people.
I think Emir does the same thing. Huh?
Did he not tell you? Your dear friend, or I assume your friend is acquaintances, co-workers, he asked for an address of my employer, and of course we can't go handing those around without following up on the people who hold them.
And you're here to give me that address?
Oh no, you
So
just
kind of-
came from that address. I'm here to bring you back. Because I thought that the one I'd be following out there would have been him, and when he didn't join you at first, I thought maybe he sent you his bait and he'll come later. But you're almost back home and he hasn't shown up, so I think the safest place for you right now is with me back up there.
Okay. Clarifying, as out of character as Nadine. This is so Mike asked for an address. Well, I spoke to Adea.
So this is several things connecting. While y'all were
Yeah.
at Cassian's, De Niro asked for an address.
Uh-huh.
And Adea asked you to meet separately from that, but at the same
that
address.
Yes. Gotcha. Okay. I think Emir is still going to be a little Confucius because he has absolutely no idea what's going on.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And he'll kind of like rub at his scruff and he realizes that he actually needs to have a shave. I'm going to assume it's asking nicely and consequences if not followed sort of situation.
They sort of tip their head and flourish out an arm in a mocking bow. Right this way.
Just be double sure. I can't go back to my house and just go for just maybe 60, 70 winks.
Oh, you'll have plenty of time to sleep, I'm sure, but not here. Not tonight.
Sounded threatening. Okay. Can I at least get something to eat? I'm a bit... Look, on the way, can we get like a... I don't know, piece of bread or something?
Make me a roll. Make me a compel and either crime or low society.
We're rolling d10s, aren't we?
Yes. So that would be 2d10s if you don't have the domain, 3d10s if you do.
Oh my god, why do all of the dice look the same? All right. Sorry, and the skills you would like are?
Compel
Compel.
and either crime or low society.
Wow. Neither of those. But I do have in skill, in compel, so 2.
Correct.
2. Fabulous. 7.
Okay. I will let you choose. You can convince them to stop, but you will have to take stress as you sort of drag this whole thing out, or you can just take it as a loss and not have to take stress.
He'll kind of just pat his stomach and say, all right. Go on then.
Oh, no, you can keep walking in front. It's just back the way we came.
It's a shitty excuse to look at my ass. He continues walking.
You can hear a sort of muffled chuckle behind you. But you are led painlessly, easily, back to that property, which is now significantly more visibly guarded than it was before. You're not sure if you spot the same person who you sold a day out to, but certainly similarly dressed people patrolling the yard, looking among the hedgerows, just generally keeping alert and keeping obvious. And the person behind you sort of sighs seeing this and says, so much, I guess, for any sort of trap, but that's fine. I suppose a direct approach is just as well. The lady of the house awaits. And maybe your friend, accomplice from earlier? The one you sold to the guards? She might await as well, if you're lucky.
Wonderful. My night just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
Do I just
they-
walk in past the
Yeah.
guards with the scary looking guards? Fabulous.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
with this person with you, the guards sort of double take, maybe, but know enough to not stop the two of you, and you are shepherded, I think, into this grand old house, through a very open foyer into what was probably once a dining room, like a grand master dining room, but is now more of a like outsized, disorganized office. Desks lining the walls, papers everywhere, sort of even hung along the walls, sort of marked up notes. And sitting primly in a chair is a woman you don't recognize, and collapsed, I would say, on the floor, hands chained, just generally not in a great state, is your old mistress.
Emir is very purposefully not looking at Adea. I think he'll kind of look around. Is this money laundering or it's detective series for a spooky crime or something? It looks a lot. How can I help, little old me?
The woman stands, who you don't recognize, and rises to her full height, which is really not at all impressive. She's maybe 5 feet tall, dressed even at the late hour in a pristine dark red suit. The mask on her face only covers her eyes and nose. It is, say, almost silk, maybe? Like raw silk that's been sort of hardened and shaped. And it is just the deepest, deepest black. But if you look into it for any amount of time, you can see sort of shifting patterns of embroidery. The bottom half of her face, which is revealed, is strange. There's something off about it, and as she opens her mouth to speak, it is not it's wrong. Rather than opening vertically, her mouth sort of opens horizontally to the side to sort of chitinous mandibles. And she says,
Horrifying.
she says, some have called banking money laundering, I suppose.
They wouldn't be wrong. To whom do I owe the pleasure?
She looks at you curiously. Is that truly the play you wish to make? I understand your acquaintance and your living situation. I don't think that playing ignorant doesn't behoove you in this situation.
Would Emir be fully aware of who this is?
No, I think that you could genuinely be like, I don't know who the fuck you are. Like, there's no reason for you to know them.
I think in his head he goes, well, let's see what happens. He's going to take. She's stood up, right? You said she raises to her
Yeah.
full height. In a like opposite power play, he's going to take one of the like nearest chairs and just drag it just gently over and sit down on it and say, I know, very rude of me to come to your house and not know a single thing about the host. However, I must confess, I don't know who you are. Perhaps I should introduce myself first. Emir, Last One Rising. It's a pleasure to meet you. I suppose I'm saying that prematurely, but I hope that is the case.
I'm sure it will be a pleasure for someone here. Your lady who brought you, she had quite a bit to say. So perhaps I do have you at the advantage.
I was hoping would be more on equal playing fields. That is how normal people engage in conversation anyway. But if you feel like you need to be advantaged, please go ahead.
Okay, make me a compel high society, please. And I think you get
I
bonus
have
points
both
for
of
doing it to
those.
an Aelfer or something. So if you
Fuck
get a bonus
yes.
dice for that, take that bonus dice.
I do. Oh my god, where are my bloody D10s? Right, 1. No, that's an 8. 2. I can't read. There you go. 4.
Oof.
Oh no, 5. 2.
Still bad.
2. And then no. Sorry. I'm counting the amount of dice.
Oh, okay.
There we go. 7.
Okay.
Not the best, not the worst.
Yeah, I mean, still a success.
Mm.
There is a slight, like a sibilant hiss as she recognizes sort of the insults. And go ahead and take one blood stress as she just slaps you across the face for your audacity.
Not yet. He'll kind of rub. He'll turn his cheek as she does, and then kind of rub it. Normally, that's a third date thing, but fair enough.
You think that you can stalk my grounds and support those who would see harm done to me and then insult me to my face. And I wouldn't react. I may be of your betters now, but I still remember how to deal with people like you.
Like me. I apologize for being on your grounds. I believe I was brought here under false pretenses by my former better and kind of motions to Adea. It appears I was wrong. I don't care for or want to be involved in anything that you have going on in your money laundering business. But your friend brought, and like, is the guard here the perch individual?
They, much like Marigold, sort of had disappeared while you were talking, but as soon as you draw attention to their existence, suddenly they sort of reappear from the shadows.
Kind of looks at that and goes, it's creepy every time. Your friend brought me here because I was supposed to be here or something. Listen, I was looking for someone who have had to do. It's not my story to tell, basically, but I don't think you're the person that I was supposed to be looking for. And again, I apologize for being on your grounds. That was incredibly rude of me. Now, can I go? I'm quite hungry and sleepy.
She will sort of gesture to the chair that you had pulled up in front of her and say, "You're welcome to nap as we wait."
As we wait for
the guard, De Niro? The one who sought me out to begin with, your friend.
Never heard of it.
Make me deceive high society.
That is 3. 7. Fuck, 7's again.
Let's see. Okay, one again. Go ahead and take 1 shadow stress as she just sort of stares at you flatly and says, "We've been watching you. We know where you came from. We know who lives in your building, who you've been seen around with. This false ignorance isn't becoming."
He kind of like chokes on his words a little bit. I was hoping that it might have charmed you a little. Not endearing? No? Okay. Okay. We're waiting for De Niro, my friend. Do we want to chat? Do you want to expose your dastardly plan, or do we have to wait for everyone to be here?
That does, I think, genuinely charm her. And she laughs and sort of gestures to the guard, who leaves the room for a moment, and I think like 10 minutes later will come back and offer you some food to eat. But In the meanwhile, she sort of takes a seat again and says, I suppose we can chat if you'd like. I'm not quite sure what there is to talk about. How much did your lady here tell you about her plans to take over my life's work?
Well, not too much. Well, maybe she did. The issue is that I was having somewhat of a crisis inside my head at the same time, seeing as, the person who betrayed me first and foremost has betrayed me yet again. So it was more of an internal struggle that I was having. But she did mention something about you got a neural network, or I'm not very up with technology, if I'm honest. I'm more of the crochet type. You can control people. This is both Emir the character and Nadine failing at remembering.
I think that you've succeeded enough compels that she is just. She looks almost exasperated at this point. Like, she had planned out this whole scene and none of it is going the way that she wants, and she wishes that you would just play along the way that she envisioned it in the shower or while she was falling asleep, and you're not being compliant, and it's frustrating. And so she sighs and says, no, it doesn't. I mean, I suppose there are people under control, but those are the network itself. They're hardly people anymore.
Right.
It helps us to understand, to envision further out.
Predict the future.
Tells us which properties would be the best investment to buy, where to pursue, where to put our money, where to invest our money for, yes, the best return on outcome, both for us as a bank and for your community itself. Leia was very particular about that last point.
And your little brain-sucky device downstairs told you that eviscerating Red Row to make it a fancy new high-rise, that benefited everyone? That was good for the people there who lived in Red Row? Or live in Red Row?
I'm from the neighborhood, It's not something I talk about in high society these days much, but I grew up there, and if I had a chance to live in a better building, if I hadn't had to scrape and claw for every single thing I have ever gotten, every inch of success I've made, well, I think that I would have turned out better. So, yes, it is for the good of the neighborhood.
Sorry, do you think the residents are returning to that fancy new high-rise?
Some of them will, the ones that Leia sees as upright citizens who deserve the chance. And the ones she didn't, well, we all know they weren't going to be going anywhere anyway. Weren't going to make anything of themselves.
And how could you have guaranteed that you would have been someone who Leia would have deigned to deserve the new Red Row.
She gestures.
I don't see anything worth keeping in you.
Oh. She She ignores the slight this time, and gestures around at the massive room, at sort of gestures below, as if you can see through the floor to the basement to where you heard those voices on the lawn, and says, "If you're unable to understand how worthy I am, that seems like a problem. A fault on your part, not on mine. I worked my way from the shoddiest of loans, of payday lenders down in Red Row, all the way up to the top of Glassome. I'm one of their premier investment managers now. I manage the account of perhaps the greatest philanthropist that Spire has seen in an age. I'm helping to shape the city without needing the approval, without the bureaucracy of the government itself. And you think that I haven't made anything of myself? One word to Leia would have you evicted from your home, and it has already, hasn't it?"
At some point, he crossed his legs and just started picking lint off of his trousers, like incredibly disinterested. And says, "Sorry. Stop me if I've got this wrong. You were born of lowly stock, stayed in Red Row, and now, through stepping on other people, you managed to get yourself in the same position as someone who's under durance. Just with the added extra of not having that little note hanging over your head. Servant." One word to Leia. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Yep. And what? She still pulls the strings. She still has the money. She's still your boss.
Give
All
me
of that. What am I giving you?
Giving me a fight and compel, or not compel, give me a fight and high society, because I think this goes beyond compel.
Absolutely. And
You can still take the extra dice, though.
if I don't have a fight, do I just don't take an extra, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I can take the extra dice from speaking to.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Oh, it's less good. That last one, it's just a 6.
Okay. Let me see.
I just want you all to know, in his head, Emir is going, "De Niro, hurry up!"
Yeah, go ahead and take 3 mind stress, as this situation is starting to spiral a little bit, and this person.
Is it 5 for Fallout?
So I am going to roll Fallout in a second,
Okay.
but Yeah, you're at what, like 6 total now?
For mind, yes, I think so.
Or for
I'm
like
not.
general stress, yeah.
Oh, for general stress, absolutely.
Yeah. So I am going to roll. Yeah. Nope. Okay. You are going to suffer fallout, and it is going to be a medium fallout, and I'm going to look at all the fallouts, which are
Hell yeah.
fun options.
Hell yeah. This episode is actually sponsored by Bad Choices. Make them or don't.
Yeah, this is fitting, actually.
Cool.
You can go ahead and remove 5 stress
Okay.
as she says, I can see that it's no use talking to you. This is a waste of both our time, and gestures to the guard who had returned and brought you food, and who now, surprisingly gently, knocks you out. So, you're taking the condition knocked out.
Fair enough.
And
Shut the boy up.
And I think that is where we will go ahead and go to break. I will add fabs, but we will be back in 10-ish minutes and see, the consequences of everyone's great actions.
Oh my.
Hell yeah.
Everyone's?
I know
See
what
the
I did
consequences
wrong.
of De Niro and Emir's actions. Hello, and welcome back to Renewal of Red Row. Before we jump back into the story, we have some channel announcements. Madness Over Manila is on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. PT, 9 p.m. Eastern, which is a Vampire the Masquerade and Hunter the Reckoning. Is that what Hunter is called? Sort of dual cast story set in the Philippines, GM'd by the lovely Fabian. We are back this week. We will not be there on the 21st, but we will exist on this upcoming Tuesday. I'm sorry, I did not have these written out. For the penultimate episode of the Vampires cast before we switch over to see the Hunter side of the story. And that is all I have for channel announcements. So let's go back to the story and switch back to the future/present with Marigold, De Niro, and Freddy. You reach Ivory Row and about reach the address that had been shared. It is a sort of sprawling estate with not quite mazes of hedgerows. Maybe there's some sort of artistic interpretation of them, but as it stands, just big lawn, big manor, some bushes, and a whole lot of guards. How would you like to proceed onto the property?
I feel like De Niro was very intense and serious on his way here, but did not have a plan for the amount of guards present currently.
I mean, I'll say that they are very precise, almost like mechanically precise in their sort of patrolling. So much like a stealth video game, you could probably stealth through if you wanted to try that. But I don't know if you're in the headspace to try stealthing.
Marigold is probably here for him to at least not stray too far from that headspace, but also having Freddy to consider means that, like, of course, he's going to put his feelings second, and probably where we're all gathered, like, there's like a foyer, and then the doors, and then anything else external that we can. Because I think he'll voice, like, in a hushed manner. I think we can get inside quietly.
I think that would be best. What do you expect will be waiting for us inside?
Well, I don't know if Emir was tangled up in anything related. Like, he probably, like, actually takes in the house for the first time now. I don't think he's caught up in anything related to me. Hopefully, I don't think that's what this is about, but maybe a trap? Maybe just some rich fucks, you know? Like, that seems like an even guess to me. I don't really know what we would do about a trap.
We'll figure it out.
I feel like if we even just tried a distraction, it's not like all of them would run to wherever any noise go. I am very convincing, though.
I mean, even if that works and people are drawn away, what happens after for you? If it's like, say, me and Marigold were to go in.
I somehow get out of the way.
All right. He sort of like parts the way, assuming that De Niro was like slightly taller stature, because I don't know if we went over our heights in the first episode. Marigold of the still slim and tall stature, like looking, and you're probably behind looking between us, and De Niro just steps to the side.
Are we
So,
attempting to sneak in first, basically?
sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Marigold begins like pointing out like places, just kind of like as if this was his job, just kind of pointing out like here's where we should go in, but oh, you probably can't scale that wall, so we should try, and just kind of like pointing stuff out.
He like observes his physique somewhat critically. It's like, I probably could, but like not like you. I always assumed it was magic, how you do it. So
I will give y'all the option. Would you like to elect one person to roll for the group for sneaking, or would you like to
Yes.
roll individually? Okay.
that sounds good. Yeah.
I assume
I'm
this is
electing
Marigold.
Me.
Yes. Do you have anything special for stealth, or is it just rolling?
So okay, so I have sneak and I have crime. I have a knack for understanding organizations, which can I say?
You can understand the guard rotation, yeah.
So my stealth skill one only applies to me and it's more about blending into crowds, but I can unlock anything that counts as an entrance, which means we don't have to spend time like lock picking. Like I can just touch something and it opens. So I've got quite a bit actually.
Yeah, let's see that roll. Yeah, sneak and crime plus all your extra dice.
So this is 4 dice plus the knowledge that I can unlock shit if we need to. Okay. Oh, that's cocked. I rolled it out of my dice tray, but that's fine. It's a 10 anyway.
There we go. Tell me, what sort of route do you take? There are any number of entrances you could take to get into this house. He rolled a 10, so pick how you want to appear inside. You can get the drop on whatever it is that's happening with Emir's corpse.
Are we? I'm not sure. Like, where is Emir in the house, and would we know? Like, would we be able to find out where Emir is just by like looking through windows and stuff?
Yeah, so I think Emir is probably in a room, is in still this sort of front large dining room, which I imagine would have windows out to like a backyard or a backyard, the little cubes of outdoors inside of indoors, whatever those are called. That, like
courtyard?
a courtyard. Yes, thank you. So if you wanted to go ahead of the other two and sort of stake out and finally see him and then be like, that's where we need to go, and this is the entrance that we would use to do that sort of subtly, you absolutely can.
Yeah, I think casing out that room and also maybe like the hallways around it, like just in case there are kind of like guards waiting to pounce.
Yeah, you see, I think a lot of the guard is focused on the exterior of the house. There are like literally a couple sort of around doing a loop basically around the dining room and front entrance area. I think that when you spot Emir with that 10, you do also spot a sort of shadow that you recognize as someone with a similar set of skills to yours in the same room as what looks like Emir, sort of unconscious in a chair with a small woman sort of sitting, watching, and another unconscious figure in another chair.
Okay. I go back and I relay this. So Emir is in that room over there. I point to the window. Emir looks unconscious, and there's another unconscious person in the room, and then there are 2 other figures. Someone like me, and then I don't know, some rich-looking person. We can enter directly into that room. Again, I point out the window that we could enter from, but we would be very conspicuous because we'd be entering in a room full of people. We can also enter that way. I point to another window and come in through the hallway. There are a couple guards inside, but I think we could avoid them quite easily.
Thinking about the word trap, Alyssa, I have nose for trouble, so I can find what's out of place. If I can find what's out of place, I can find it once per scene, just throughout this whole thing. I'm gonna ask you what's weird or out of place here.
Yeah, I think that Freddie, while you are waiting for Marigold to come back from his reconnaissance, you start to hear whispers pulling at the edge of your consciousness. And it's hard to locate at first, but slowly, as your mind sort of attunes to these voices, you hear them sort of asking, "Find us, help us, let us out." And it feels like it's coming from below. You can almost feel shivers, goosebumps rising up your body, like from your legs up your torso to the back of your neck. Also, there's like a hidden servant's entrance, probably like into the dining room, but
Cool. There is something really fucking wrong with this building. There's something below us. People? Ghosts? But if you know the way around, you can get us sneakily over the other room over there. There's a servant's entrance.
Okay.
I don't think I can do anything about ghosts or extra prisoners necessarily, but
Oh,
Let's cross that bridge when
something
we get to it.
something to
hold on.
think. Yeah.
Because you can talk to ghosts. Yeah, Daenerys' speech is stilted here because he saw you release that ghost in Cassian's house. Still doesn't know what to make of it, but you did that. So he's very like whatever expression he was holding then of like confusion is like still evident right now. He's like, well, I'm sure if this is related to Thornspun business, which I don't know if that rings any bells, then she was a loan shark.
Oh.
Dealt lethally, so.
Alyssa?
yeah, go ahead and make me an investigate high society roll. See if you
Blackmail?
recognize the name.
Kaya.
Sure.
Thornton.
7.
Yeah, so that is a success. Take, let's say, take 2 mind stress as sort of thinking back, pulling back on your past is stressful, and also this whispering, this ghostly whispering in your head
I'm
as you're
fucked
like
up.
spending time planning
Yeah.
is also pretty stressful.
So I have 3 stress total. Is there anything I need to keep in mind right now?
I will roll a fallout. That is a 5, so you're good. You're fine for now.
Great.
But no, it's not a name you've heard necessarily in the sort of high society context, but I think in your days as an information broker, it may have come up as someone with some level, some degree of power at Glasshelm, the banking institution. Someone who could, if you got them on their good side, got them to, co-sign to work with you on what you
Yeah.
needed, she could, help make your financial issues just go away.
I've heard of a person.
Yeah. Nothing pleasant, I hope.
No.
She's fucked up a lot of people.
I guess something with Emir.
I mean, if he was already under durance, I don't know if that makes sense. And then, like, there's like a visible vein throbbing in his head. But I have business with her at some point.
You
I
do.
needed to. Yeah. That doesn't answer why Amir's there, though.
Okay. Marigold, can you help us get to the entrance, and then we can think from there?
I lead everyone there.
Yeah, you sort of go in through that window in the hallway that Marigold found. And Freddie, just based on your knowledge of these rich person houses, you're able to easily locate the sort of small hidden corridor where the help would walk through between rooms so as to not be seen if they did not want to. And you can hear now, standing in this corridor, a sort of hidden panel, all that's between you and this dining room, and you are free to approach entering this room, dealing with these people however you would like, and you will have the jump on them.
How many people are in the room again? It's the 2 unconscious people.
2 unconscious, the bound guard, and the rich lady.
Okay.
So 4 total.
I kind of through the wall, like just kind of like roughly kind of like pointing out like locations that I saw of like where people were.
Okay. You said there was a guard, so that's like the most obvious threat. I can try and disable them, like non-lethally. I don't really. I almost don't care. But so that was 2 people unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Emir and someone I didn't recognize.
I guess I can go for.
Before we go in, I will activate the Seeker of Fear again so that my knife does more damage. And let me roll for my stress.
Just take out my. Just. Okay.
I need to take 1 shadow.
Freddy shoots a doorknob.
Yeah.
I can unlock the door, don't shoot it, please.
No.
Does that put you at a threshold where you would actually have to roll for Fallout, Rook, or are you still below your ridiculous?
I already had 2 shadows. Well, I had 7, and now I'm at 8. So so the rolling value is 3.
Okay, cool. That is a 9, so you're good. So are y'all just like not shooting the door down, but like pushing the door down and going in, sort of swords raised, guns blazing?
Yeah, I think regardless of
You got
who
the
else
jump?
is there, De Niro's gonna focus on the guard. Maybe in a way that would leave him exposed. So I don't know if that counts as engaging in reckless success, because I get to add the brutal tag to my damage if I do so. But I feel like that's like that's where his mind is at now. So
Okay. Marigold, where are you? Are you also going to focus on the guard, or are you going to go to Emir or someone else?
I'm backing up De Niro.
And Freddie.
I'm gonna go near the unconscious people, but my gun is gonna go towards the rich.
Beautiful. Let's say De Niro and Marigold roll me fight and order.
Oh, I don't have order.
I don't
And
have.
you can
time.
do crime. You're being a criminal.
Yeah, crime.
And Freddie, if you're doing this, are you doing this to sort of engage in combat, or is it more of a, hey, your boss is in danger, I'm going to intimidate you down?
Uh,
Okay.
Freddie's understanding of any type of hostage situation is that there's always someone who is about to lose everything if this doesn't go down a certain way. I think she's going at this at a very people-oriented.
Okay. So
You know,
Freddie.
if your attention's split and there's 1 second that you're not thinking where you need to be thinking, you're gonna get killed, and that's what she wants.
Great. So you can roll me a compel, and I would say either like crime or high society. But attack team, De Niro and Marigold, tell me what your role is and how it looks.
I got a 9, so I think the second there is a vague description of somebody who looks like Marigold as a guard, I am trying to tackle and then like swing one leg between theirs to get them off stance and then get them in a chokehold to hopefully get them to pass out. In a move that is not necessarily a single combat art style, but you can imagine Marigold or even Freddy that it's just like a combination of like dealing with drunk people at his regular job slash the minor theatrics of what his other job would entail.
Yeah, with that success, you're able to grapple. Marigold, how about you?
I got 2 8s and a 10.
Jesus Christ. Okay. What are you aiming to do? This guard is being grappled by De Niro's, who's sort of trying to start to choke them out.
I see De Niro doing this, and I go in for like a support. So I do draw my blade, but not the pointy end, the hilt. Just kind of like rush up and kind of like jabbed into the stomach to help. Just kind of like again supporting De Niro. What De Niro is doing, I'm backing it up.
Okay. And Freddie, you also got an 8, which is a success. So I think that. How close to this rich woman do you get? Are you sort of at distance pointing a gun at her, or do you get in there?
Yeah, I'm at distance. The gun's ranged. So presumably I don't want to get too close. But I am going to be standing essentially in between. As is the other person that's unconscious also in a chair
Yeah.
or like on the floor? Okay, yeah. I'm gonna sort of just stand in front of both of the hostages and then just like have my gun trained on her, if possible. So this is with the name, with the investigate that I had. Would I be able to associate a face?
I think you'll be able to associate, you see the mandibles, and you're able to associate that.
Okay. Just try to not look as nervous as I am because there's ghosts or something in this house.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and we'll call this non-lethal, but De Niro and Marigold, roll me those whatever damage your sort of weapon would be. And you get to add an extra 1. Marigold because you got a 10.
I'm guessing unarmed combat is like a 1 or a 2.
Yeah, probably like a. I mean, you're a
Oh.
guard, so let's call it a 2.
Yay! Okay.
Okay.
It's a 4 for me, including the +1.
Oh, dang. Okay. So you like handily just knock out this poor guard who was maybe had maybe sort of gone off guard a little bit because the people they were supposed to be watching were all asleep now, and so it's fine. But they fall in a just like clatter of hidden weapons and a lot of loose fabric. And the woman who you are pointing a gun at, Freddie, who you recognize and who De Niro named as Kaya Thornspun, sort of laughs almost delightedly and puts her hands up. She turns from you, Freddie, towards where her guard has been handily taken out, and her eyes, or you assume her eyes, her mask, her face certainly, fixes on De Niro.
And I think he doesn't struggle to get up. He like almost gingerly puts down this body after Marigold like he went limp. Great. Like doing the work, which is great because dinner would have taken a moment. And he gets up as she laughs, facing her. There are probably like white hairs on his chin now that catch in the moonlight that, you know, may be more pronounced due to whatever stress. But they don't obscure his face, which is serious.
I didn't expect you to send a decoy in first. Doesn't quite match up with what I'd heard.
What the fuck are you talking about?
She glances over towards Amir's chair, where Amir, hey, you're coming too now, starting to wake up. I think there was a slight clatter and your head really hurts, but you were conscious.
Really? Knocking a guy out? Just when I was being so sweet.
Glad to see you are doing the same as ever.
Oh. Looks over at De Niro. My friend who I've never seen before.
I didn't put him here. Amir, I'm sorry. I didn't do this. Whatever.
I've had my guards watching the two of you. I know that you're working together. You can pretend all you want that you weren't aligned, but
Yeah, because we live together. That's not like that. It's whatever. That's not the point of us being here. Your guards really do a shit show amount of work then. Because I'm here for my reasons. And we're all here because we care. So he like motions for her to continue.
you're all here because you care? How wonderfully saccharine. I mean, I'm here because I care too. This is the base of my establishment that you, and she sort of glares over to Emir and to the other unconscious body, were trying to undermine.
You You've built up a lot over these past years, haven't you? No thought for the safety of others, the sanctity of your own life. And then he starts scanning her a little. What's your weapon of choice?
You don't see any weapon on her physically. So maybe that means magic, maybe that just means unshakable confidence. It's a little hard to tell.
Right. Well, I guess, Emir aside, you know why I'm here.
It was clever of you to get my address from Cassian, but of course he told me. They're a fool, but they're not quite up to crossing me.
Family business. Okay, well, he is more languishly waving his sword at this point. If you're dealing with ghosts or some shit, now would be the time to speak up, because I have a feeling everything's about to end for you.
I could call for my guards, and this room would be swimming in them in moments. Your friend here, your friend who you don't know, is still tied up, and while one or two of you may be able to escape the net, I can't imagine all of you getting out.
I think De Niro's countenance, it was normally very like his whole stance and motion has been taut up until this moment. And then there is a looseness and fluidity in his motion as he starts to stride towards her, which I feel like no one in this room besides maybe Freddie would recognize as he's about to go in for a fight now, as if this was a pit fight, but he looks more serious. And I think if there is no resistance, he's going up to her with the tip of the greatsword, which is again handled like a rapier, points it to her, and says, "I have to wonder how much good that'll do if they can't answer to a corpse."
I don't think it needs to come to this. I mean, really murdering someone over your apartment? Is that truly how far the guard of Spire has fallen?
If you knew me well enough, you'd know that's not what this is about. And he withdraws just briefly. And I think I finally want to use my pick a fight ability, specifically the fourth aspect, which is you have an almost supernatural ability to get into fights that make your life more interesting, even if they make it a lot shorter at the same time. So if I want to advance my current objective, we can definitely get an angle out of the fight as long as I win it. The other aspects are
Let's fucking kill her.
I get the best person to pick a fight with if I want to win, if I want to cause a distraction, and if I want to advance my current objective.
Okay. Yeah, you are standing there, great sword held like a rapier at her throat. And she says, she looks at you and moves her mouth as much as is possible into a sort of a mocking, like, mew of sadness and says, would you like to talk about it? Why it is that you're here then? Would that make you feel better about this whole endeavor of yours?
Can I just say something?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say he gives Freddy like a sidelong glance at that, and pauses. Sorry.
Using Nameless Dread with my gun trained on her, Nameless Dread once again. Some things are too horrific to describe, even for a person who writes horror stories for a living. Rolling DC plus roll to cast the spell on a target that I am speaking to. On a success, the target feels an indescribable dread at present events and wants to flee the scene. They will suffer D3 stress and become convinced that something strange is going on. We are not going to let her flee. But Freddy is essentially just like, from the beginning, anyone speaking to her best friend, De Niro, which I guess she's deciding to solidify at the moment, is speaking to people in a certain way, that they are better than, less than, that they have control over people's lives, is so one of the reasons that she is also not an info brokerage anymore, because she had control over literally everyone's life. She had control over Amir's life, and even though that was ultimately a good thing, it was awful. So with just the most almost like manic something voice, something of like a face that like has control right now, is like, we were saying that even if one person was out of commission for one incredibly important thing, like a vote, things would get pushed back rather. And even one more day, even one more second where people are able to deliberate more and more on the things that could potentially benefit them, detriment them. Having time to think is so important. Murdering someone over a place to live, for multiple people to be able to live somewhere, is far more valiant than breaking in someone's fucking knees for not giving you your lunch money, not giving you an opportunity to, I don't know, kill people's children. There's so many worse things that can happen to people that control other people's lives, and I'm sure the worst thing that can happen for you is to no longer have any more control over people. You got like an ex-husband, you got children that don't care about you, you got family that hates you. Has any other romantic relationship in your life also failed? There are so many wonderful things to kill people for.
Yeah, give me that roll and take an extra die for your blackmail.
Absolutely. I only got a 6, so I'm going to be using second chances. I can roll up to 3 stress to reroll. So. Oh god, goodbye dice. Okay. Roll again. I'm gonna roll again. This is the last one. Okay. That's a 9.
Okay.
I get 3 stress, so I'm gonna take 2 in reputation. I'll take all 3 in reputation, so I have 4 stress right now.
Okay, let's roll for fallout. That's a 5. You barely pass.
Amazing.
And roll me that D3 or, D6 and take half for the stress that she takes at your threatening and at this dread that you're building.
You said D6?
Yeah.
That's a 5.
Okay. She purposefully turns from you, but you can tell, Freddie, you can see in her body language how sort of tense she has become, as if it's taking everything in her to not try and flee at this moment, to keep up that presentation of being strong and unshaken and in control. And turns again to De Niro and says, "So what, you came here not to kill me, but just to moralize at me, is that?"
Is that it? No. No, I have taken my time for morals and shit in ways that other people could talk about it better. And I think the fact that your murdering is done in places you can't see it behind a veil or some shit, it doesn't make it less real. So you really don't need to act like you're not familiar with this sort of shit. Just own up. Points again.
We
And
didn't say
this
we weren't going to kill you.
And this time she does just fully sort of take a step back. You can see, or I mean, you can't because she's wearing a mask, but it's clear in the sort of minute movements of her head that she is scanning this room, trying to figure out what is the best way to call for guards, to call for an exit.
As
And
she
well,
takes a step back, Marigold is there, and I think
Jesus.
she bumps into me, and Marigold says, "Also, quite frankly, and if your guards are as good as you say they are, you probably already know my reputation. Murdering you won't be a moral issue." And then Marigold kind of like steps away, still within eye line, but like steps away to keep watch over the guard that they knocked out.
Emir, as the other three have been keeping this woman busy, you feel hands at your wrist where they are bound, and the long, ragged nails of Adea you can feel sort of trying to help unbind you.
Hmm. He kind of looks. He. The issue is he doesn't want to take his eyes off of Freddy because he needs to see what's happening. So I think he goes to turn his head and then says, "What are you doing?"
I can't get mine, but you can. You can get me out. I have nothing to do with this. I'll let you out. You let me out. We're square.
Sure. Hurry up.
Roll me either a deceive or compel and high society, please.
Bada bing. Bada boom. It's a 9.
Okay. You can feel her hands sort of working faster, almost ignoring subtlety at this point as she undoes the bindings, and You are free to move as she sort of hisses at you expectantly.
Is this conversation going on loud enough that it's okay? Like no one can kind of hear us
Yeah.
angrily whispering at each other?
Yeah, you can whisper away.
Daenerys
Everyone
very
else
loud
is
in
very
particular.
occupied.
Like, even if it
Nice.
wasn't his normal loud projecting voice, like he is trying to command authority by taking up space and also by making sure that Kaya can just hear him alone. So that is intentional.
In that case, he'll kind of like slide off of the chair very quietly onto like one of his knees, so he's at the same height as he would have been if he was on the chair. And then kind of like motion like he's moving towards her to free her. And then he reaches into his inner breast pocket and pulls out it's a mask that is essentially like pink wrappings, as if like you can't really tell right now because it's in its kind of crunched form, but it's almost like bandages, and instead of being soaked in blood, it's soaked in pink, and it has like white and red thread, almost like stitched and institched throughout. And it makes like a really soft, almost like chiffon sound as it rubs against each other. And he says, do you remember this one? You got this one for me. What was it? Maybe 4, 5 years ago? And he takes off his mask. He places it down. And he slowly places this mask on. You said something about not being very good at showing your love, but being able to, or being able to express your love, but you could always give me gifts. I think this is the only good gift you've ever given me. I hope you rot, Adea. He stands up and he's got this new mask on. And his face is completely shrouded. You can't see it. It's almost like a mummy's head now. And this is Mask of the Lover. I have a +2 to reputation now. And once per session, I can make an NPC fall in love with me. I would like to make Kaya fall in love with me as I say, now I know I've been a bit of a brute, Kaya. I hope you can forgive me as he starts walking forward. I can't say I'm a good man. I'm not even really good at being a bad man. And he keeps moving forward. And he
Emir?
places his hands out. He hears Freddie say his name, but he knows if he listens to it, he won't be able to continue. He places his hands out for Kaya to take his hands.
De Niro and Marigold, will you let her move?
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna like when her scanning falls to Emir, like De Niro specifically like puffs up, not in like any way that he feels threatened right now, but like the focus at this point is so critical to him that he like if her like if she goes outstretched or in whatever fashion, he like tries to whip her hands out of the way and brandishes his sword again. Weapon of choice. Beg for your life or fight. And then he looks to Emir like, what the fuck are you doing?
And she also looks to Emir almost entreatingly. Like, if I am feeling these things for you, then it must almost entitled to feeling your love back. If I am feeling these things for you, then it must be reciprocated and you must be willing to fight for me.
He just says, if you loved me, Kaya, you would choose a weapon. You would tell all. You would admit everything. Kaya, if you loved me, you would do that. Do you not love me?
I have an extra thing here, Alyssa.
Let's go.
Do it for the story. You have a way of getting people to act on their baser impulses. Once per session, an NPC you're talking to does precisely what they want to do at the moment in time, regardless of social morals, fear, obligations, or politeness.
And yeah, I mean, she does in this moment love Emir, and what she wants is to provide for his happiness and to prove it to him. And so she pulls, I think, from the lining of her mask what looks like almost a hairpin like needle, and then another and another and another, and she grasps them in one fist like claws and stares down De Niro. If this is what it takes.
Yeah, fucking love. Okay. You like I don't like De Niro probably is not sensing magic stuff emanating from Emir at this moment, but the slimy way in which Emir has been talking right now has been like raising goosebumps on his visible skin, right? So
Something's happening.
he's like, yeah, you're obligated to defend yourself, and if and then he almost falters again. If there's anything else about your operation that would be helpful, regardless of outcome, that's the grace I'm going to give you.
She looks again towards Emir, and I think for this woman who's given so much for power, the greatest show of love that she can give is sharing that and welcoming someone else into her little attempted empire. And so she'll say, take you to Emir, to the room as a whole. The network is in the basement. If there's a question, anything you'd like to know, I can use it. We can use it to build a better future for ourselves. And then looking, I think, fully at De Niro for the first time since Emir put on that mask. You were one of the first, right? Your family, you look so very like your father.
Mm. I'm almost honored that you remembered, really.
It's hard to forget he's still down there.
His eyebrows fly up. And he's now like open. Something breaks in his face. Okay. That answers a lot that I had no one to ask. Of course. Fuck. It was so long ago. What about my mother?
She signed a contract. It happens sometimes. We use them the little that we can, and some people just aren't cut out for it. It was all in the terms.
I'm sure preying on her desperation made you feel superior in the moment, but that wasn't the question that I needed the answer for.
I don't have her. I don't know. Who would know who would have taken her in if something happened?
Okay. And he looks to Freddy one last time. Are we over our heads?
I can figure out how to do anything.
And then he looks to Marigold. I'll tell you what he looks like after. So we can help. And then faces Kaya. That's it. That's all I need or could want in this moment besides you. Right now, give up or actually defend yourself.
I'm not going to give up. This is everything.
Do it for the
one
story.
person. Too much for one person.
Do it for the story.
And I think De Niro lunges at that point with no interference.
Yeah, make me that fighting roll.
Simple fight. Lovely start. That's 7.
Okay, how do you attack? What does it look like?
How many claws does she have?
3.
Okay.
So like between those 3 fingers.
So he probably like goes like he stances himself so that her offhand is the word I'm trying to describe is like basically if she's not ambidextrous, she has like an inherent disadvantage, and she goes for the clawed arm first, like in a sweep, a simple one.
Yeah. Roll me your damage. You hit her.
Okay. That's a 6.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I guess I don't add anything because I am not reckless. Oh, and like I am reckless in this moment.
I was going to say, I think that probably counts.
So I've never actually used, or I don't know what the brutal tag entails for combat because we only did one combat in this whole show. So I should have looked that up earlier. That's my bad. If I do brutal, is it like critical damage?
Me word searching the brutal tag, and their brutal
I was
shows up
doing
way too many times.
the literal
Literally.
exact same thing. Help me. Googlepedia.
But yeah,
My-
let's just say that it does like crit damage, so it does double damage. So
Okay.
this woman did like she was already 3 down because of the fear. And I think it's just this one strike, and you're starting off, and I think it feels like your intention is to open this combat. But how are you feeling, De Niro, in this moment?
There's been like a civility that he's been holding on to for the moments that this has taken. Like, this has probably not taken a whole lot of time, like this whole scene, but it's felt like forever. And it has been like chipped and chipped until there is like a version of him that is like unreachable to anyone else because he is so single-minded. He is single-minded about few things, but it means that his head is like clear and his eyes are sharp, and the adrenaline in him does make him feel alive in a way that is terrifying, but it is like very much something that is coursing through his veins right now.
Yeah. And so, with all of that emotion, you make this swipe and it hits, and she is just in a suit. It is not in any way armor, it isn't magicked to protect her. And so, you hit at the claws, at her arms, at her wrist, and it is clearly. Do you want this to be a fatal blow?
No, I think he has one more.
Okay. It hits, though, like deep into the vein in her arm, and she starts bleeding, and the needles, the claws, fall out of her hand as she clutches it to her chest. Because you did get a mixed success, I think that you take 2 mind stress just with the sort of overwhelming feeling of actually doing this, and maybe a bit of conflict in that you are actively spilling blood at this point in service of your own wants.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a 7 for Fallout, which I assume you are
I'm
under.
under.
Okay.
I don't have any. Yeah,
Cool.
because I have silver resist. I'm so good.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
I wait for like a single reaction before I make another move. Like an outward one.
She is clutching that arm to her chest and almost feral as she sort of hisses and clicks those mandibles at you aggressively and goes in for like, okay, she goes in and like kicks at you, just anything that she can do while keeping her body close.
Okay.
Roll me. I think that you are the only one, like only players roll for a fight. So I guess roll me a fight to like avoid it. A
Okay.
Fight. Yeah, fight order.
Yeah, of course. I got a 4. So.
Oh.
Oh, wait, fight order? I don't have order. That's okay.
Okay, that is a failure. So I mean, this isn't gonna do a lot of
I'm
well,
so armored, baby.
yeah, it does 2 blood stress, but
Bonk.
I assume, yeah, it just sort of hits off of your armor,
It does.
and she sort of pulls back, starts to retreat. Eyes, I mean, this has meant you told her to fight or to give in, and she doesn't want to give in, but she's really hurt, and so her eyes are sort of seeking again an exit to the room.
Hmm. And as her eyes wander, I think he gets into like almost a more traditional fencer stance where he is starting to like flick like the blunt side of his sword like to the shoulder, to the arm, to the top of the head, really lightly, like almost like an upward, like keeping her face trained on him, and starts progressing forward as there isn't much room in this room at this point. But I imagine it could be causing her to stumble a bit, uh, as he's wordless until like there's a moment where he almost pins her, and he looks as if he may have been planning this for longer than he knew what to make of the situation. You have experience with this question. I'm sure you're not out of practice, so ask me, what do I want right now?
Gritting, just speaking so slowly, hissing between her teeth. What do you want?
And I think I want to roll to damage her before I say what it is he has to say next, because he's gonna go for the like a simple thrust
Yeah.
to the slight left of the center of her chest. And that's an 8
Yeah.
with fight. So do I need to roll damage? I don't know how she's looking right now.
I think at this point she looks bad enough you don't have to roll damage.
That's perfect.
Yeah, she was sort of clutching her arm, but you're able to sort of maneuver your blade so that it hits into her torso.
Mm. And there is like a give and like a deceleration of his blade, but he still manages it almost all the way through. I want my mother back. And then like almost pushes her to the ground with that in her. And he like still in a bit of a daze, tries his utmost to not relish in the moment, because as soon as she's on the ground, he is patting to make sure like he has another weapon, and then turns away before she can dignify him with a response to his face.
She falls sort of mouth open, wordlessly, and the blood loss, the stabbing, the surprise at being sort of one-upped in this way. There's nothing that she can say to you in this moment. Freddie, Marigold, and Emir, you just watched De Niro maybe murder someone?
Good.
It's not the first time I've seen one. What are we going to do about the downstairs bullshit?
I figured I wouldn't have all the answers to that, but if the guards could scatter when they realize they don't have a chain of command. He's also going through this way too quickly. Like this series of events, he's not processing in this moment. Then
We were able
you said there is a servant's entrance.
able
right?
to get through that already. So I there has to be a back doorway to get to the basement, some cellar or some. There has to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Marigold, however, we can support you, I guess. As a resident ghost talker, we will do our best.
Let's go.
Let's go.
He doesn't even. He takes off the lover's mask.
Yeah.
And I think actually, just as everyone's going, he kind of turns back with the lover's mask and stuffs it in Nadea's mouth. Says, "So you can't call for help." And
You
leaves.
can see her like trying to form words, and maybe there's like the start of something about Marielle. But unless you go back, nope. Okay.
I'm sure that will haunt him for the rest of his days. But
I'm sure it's fine.
he'll figure it out after he's out of here.
Yeah, I mean, you already did a great job scouting Marigold, the building in general, and you weren't looking for a path down to the basement when you did it, but you still, processed staircases, entrances, and exits, and so you're able to lead the group easily enough to a basement door, which you can magically open.
Oop.
It's always so cool when you do that.
Oh,
I love that.
as I'm unlocking the door, oh, by the way, we kind of broke into your flat.
Okay. Why?
For clues. Nothing.
Clues?
Nothing there.
You were
Like,
gone
you
for a whole
fucking-
day.
What were you going to find in my apartment?
Your dead body, maybe?
You saw me leave, Freddy.
And not come back.
Okay.
And you, to be fair, were tied in a chair a couple seconds ago.
Also,
Not in my apartment.
De Niro got a threatening letter on his door, so
Yeah.
like they
And then
clearly had access to the building.
The crumpled up, shitty piece of paper. If they left anything like this in your room, I would have at least known. It's nice paper, but it's very crumpled up now, so you can barely make it out. But it has all the information, like the address, the thread,
Did you touch my knitting magazines?
What?
No.
I
Good.
promise, dude.
Anyway,
And I'm
ghosts and all.
Anyway, ghosts and all, I opened the door.
sorry.
Yeah. Someone go ahead and make me, what would we call this? Actually, just everyone go ahead and make me a investigate occult roll.
I
Fuck.
ironically have none of those skills.
For
I
you,
have-
that's so
I have
funny.
both of those.
I have none of them. I got a 6.
Sorry, occult
uh,
and...
Investigate.
Can I
Be-
cheekily ask for an extra die as the resident ghost talker?
I was gonna give it to you, yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. thank you.
Wow.
I'm gonna
oh.
use second chance. And
I got 9.
mother. That time is a 9. I am taking more stress.
Okay, everyone who got a 6 or lower, take 1 mind stress as you are sort of entering this. Yeah, you're getting closer to wherever it was that was calling out to you.
I 7 stress, and I took blood stress. Freddie just like her nose starts bleeding or something.
I'm at 3. So
I hand you a handkerchief.
Okay.
shit.
Netta, you're good. Freddie, I rolled a 2, so you are taking fallout.
Let's get it.
Let's see. What's your total stress at? 7?
Yep.
Me reading all the fun.
Give me something
Stress.
good.
Praying for you.
Estrés.
Another blood fallout too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ooh, okay. This is fun.
No. It's never good when the GM goes, ooh.
Ew. We got some psychological torture. They get some psychological torture.
Look under your seats, everyone gets psychological.
I mean, we'll see if this even comes up, Freddie, but as you are sort of reaching out and almost being bombarded now by the feeling of something calling out to you, you can feel it latch on, almost like a permanent shiver down your spine, and it dissipates slowly, but there's a sense that something about you has changed. And mechanically, if anyone takes stress from magic, you take half that stress instead. Just permanently, forever. Go ahead and clear 5 stress.
Yay.
You are now a spell magnet.
An
Ah.
I'm angry at that.
That's fitting.
But no, I mean, Brooke, with the 9, Marigold, you are attuned to ghosts. And that is what this is. That is the energy that is resonating, is calling out to anyone who can listen. And it's easy enough for you to navigate through the basement to where that pull is strongest. And I think that everyone now can hear the sort of crying out, both cries for help and also just the most mundane, like, calculations. Various sort of what sound like almost financial sheet readouts interspersed with calls for help and for escape. But you I guess you can feel this all, and you can tell that the center of this is behind a door that you lead the group to. Would you like to open the door?
Before I do, rough estimates. How many ghosts are down here?
It's less than 20, but there's something strange. It's like maybe 10 of them are bound here, almost like Michael is bound to you, is bound to your knife, and the rest are sort of ambient, wailing, stuck but not bound. Like they just couldn't find, they aren't intentionally being kept here, they just couldn't find a way out.
Okay. I instruct everyone, so like if the hinges are here, I instruct everyone to like move like here so they won't be in the path when the door opens. And then I open it so that the door is covering all of us, but no one is standing like directly in the opening.
Yeah. The door opens. There's no burst of light or anger or danger. Just the door opens to a room that's maybe a little colder than the rest of the space. Do you look in? When there's no immediate, okay. There's a circle on the floor, and there are some sort of markings around the circle, and almost like a clock, except only at 10 points, not 12. Fire days only have 20 hours, not 24. I'm just saying now. I don't know. It's not even late. I don't have an excuse. But sort of evenly around this circle are bodies, 10 of them, and in the center, almost like a bell jar of glass that's connected at the top with wires and bits of string to tables and to a sort of like typewriter type machine that is outputting slowly bits of data. But inside that glass jar in the center are what you can only assume are the spirits of the corpses that surround it.
So, and those are, I'm assuming, are the stuck spirits.
Yes.
So do I get a sense of who the bound ones are?
Or rather, sorry, those are the bound ones. The stuck ones, I think it's just ambient, honestly. People who have maybe have tried to face down, discover what this was, and died in this building and were drawn down to the bell jar, to the power that is being sort of processed here. So you think that perhaps destroying whatever this mechanism is would let them at least be free, though it might do something to the ones who are properly bound.
Okay. I look to De Niro and I kind of like gesture to the bodies on the floor.
Fuck, I was gonna say so. Like, I guess it's true that my dad looked a lot like me, but he was like, thinner in the face and, like, better facial hair or whatever. And he was really wrinkly, like around the eyes, I guess. He had a big nose.
What is the last memory you have with him?
Man, it was like most memories that you hold on to before a pivotal traumatic event. It's a mundane one. I think there is like probably a late night in which he and his dad were making tea for the mom. Her name's Amara, but I don't actually think I ever went over their names because De Niro himself trying to be beyond it. They're trying to make tea. De Niro drops a glass, and he like he looks at it at like how a child does when they know that they did something wrong and the punishment's like inevitable, but like his dad, like firm hand on the shoulder, like Theo would eventually receive in the not so distant future. And he just gets down and gets a little dustpan. It was a nice glass, was the thing, like because it was a tea set, specifically for their style of serving tea, and it was special to the family for reasons that De Niro couldn't comprehend. Um, and his dad just picks it up, and he looks like it's like he's looking at De Niro, who's like almost about to cry, and he's like, you don't have to look like that. And then he says, it's most important that everyone's okay. Like we can replace things. We can always replace things. Just accidents happen, and then he, like, De Niro doesn't make the tea, he just delivers it to his mom after that, on what was probably a rough day for her, succumbing to the things that would inevitably come.
Yeah. You see, as you walk into the doorway into the room, your father's body, and you feel the memory, this last memory, welling up, and the voices which are surrounding you all almost as one pick up threads of that conversation, of other conversations, but also there's just the overwhelming feeling of love, as if they've all been stuck inside this jar together for who knows how long, and in some way they've mingled together, and at this particular moment, your father's joy and pride at seeing you here overtakes them all, and it's just that. It's concern a little that you're here, that they've seen others die, get trapped here, but it's also just the overwhelming feeling of comfort and peace and love. And I think the jar sort of vibrates with it.
Yeah, De Niro, definitely having not planned for any of this, wants to rush forward, but like he takes a step and then simultaneously grabs Marigold's sleeve, at the potential for danger and what is apparently so delicate that like De Niro might ruin something right now, like glass.
Marigold kind of looks to you and says, I've got this. And he kind of like, he takes off his mask and he puts it in your hand.
Okay,
And he goes to the jar.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What do you look like?
Yeah, oh god, I shouldn't have taken off my mask.
Yeah, you've never taken your mask off.
You've seen Marigold's face before, like he can't eat with his mask on.
No.
And when they're at home, like he's not wearing his mask, like his mask is just for jobs.
Mhm.
But you see a worn and weathered face, familiar kind eyes, and just kind of like a smile just on his face, just kind of like reassurance. Like, I've got this. Don't worry. You may want to take a step back though.
Right. He's so gingerly in the anachronistic way that he holds small, delicate things. He cradles the mask and takes several steps back.
And Marigold kind of like touches the jar with just the tips of his fingers, just the finger pads. And I guess I don't know what a bell jar is, I'm so sorry. But I guess opens it.
Yeah, it's just like a jar like that. Yeah. Yeah. You're able to sort of pull off this glass top of this container, and it's almost like a sigh of relief as the typewriter stops ticking and whatever other sounds were in the room, the screaming, or not screaming, but the whispers, sort of quiet for a moment as you open this. And there's still, I think that the ghosts that were sort of trapped but not bound almost metaphysically brush against you as sort of breaking this seal, opening up this jar is enough to sort of free them. But the spirits that were still trapped inside are still bound, just no longer producing anything.
I will I will put my hand kind of like around the area where they're bound, kind of like how he touches the knife to interact with Michael, and will offer his voice if there are any last words that they want to say.
Yeah. I think using your body, you get a set of names, addresses, final messages for the people that they left behind, as well as just their identities. And for De Niro, I think that it's not the same. Obviously, it's not his body, but you get a request for a hug.
Like he sort of dumbly looks at the corpse right now. It's like, do you mean he like, and then steps forward like okay, he's crying. Like everything about him that maybe has taken a lot to compose, and like in cascades of building him to be a person or an adult or anything is like meaningless right now. So of course he like seems young, he looks young or whatever, but it is more just like his eyes are very wide right now and like seeking whatever will come to him. His arms are open, but the mask is of course delicately held.
And in Marigold's voice, but so clearly your father's words just in the resonance of it. Again, much more embodied than before. He just tells you how much he loves you and how proud he is of you being able to do this.
Yeah, and I think Marigold, like as these words come out, like you feel like a grip bordering on painful that comes very suddenly. It doesn't last very long, but he is clearly making the shoulder of your shirt wet. He is no longer in a speaking state. There's nothing else for him to say.
As the semi-consensual possession kind of like leaves Marigold, like he keeps like a hand on the back of your head, just kind of like just kind of like keeping the hug going, even though your dad has left, and with his other hand will begin the work to destroy the seal.
Yeah, there's almost like a clinginess to the way it ends. Like the possession voice dissipates, and he kind of goes slack, but still embracing you. And in the moments of clarity for you after, he continues down to like wipe both of his eyes on your shoulders, like he's just hugging you. But then like he comes to after a moment and then realizes, oh, there's other things to do, and he kind of lets go, like apologetically.
As you go through the work of breaking the seal, Marigold, is your intention to sort of free these ghosts to pass on, or did you want to rebind them to something else, like Michael is bound to your knife?
No, they've been bound long enough. He's letting them go. And also, like, the fact that it's like 10 souls melded together, like I don't think anything should have that kind of power. Like, he's just letting them go.
Yeah. So there's, I think, how does that look? Is it just sort of silent? Is it light? Is it subtle?
The exorcism he performed before was intense and quick and dramatic, but mostly for effect. This is slower, thoughtful, more like less like tearing a piece of paper and more like delicately unpicking a stitch. There isn't light, but I think there is quiet as the voices that kind of like permeate the space kind of start getting quieter and voices stop dropping off until there is nothing left to hear.
And Freddie, from as those voices sort of drop off, you feel this sort of gaping emptiness in your chest just for a moment as the magic sort of dissipates and frees these souls. Go ahead and take 2 blood damage or 2 blood stress from your spell magnet, just the sort of
God.
backlash of power. It's really just exhaustion. Well, I say it's really just exhaustion. Yeah, you're good. That's a 5. It's really just exhaustion, I think, from the sort
I'm
of
bleeding.
dispersal of this magic. Yeah. But the spirits are free, and the sort of neural network, whatever it was that Kaya and Shines the Light were using to predict what it is they should do, where in Red Row they should buy up, everything that they were doing to plan their sort of restoration of the neighborhood is dissolved. And so I think that Freddie, you know that for all of her flaws, of which there were many, Shines the Light was trying to listen. She was just listening to these raw calculations based on faulty assumptions rather than listening to the voices of anyone in Red Row itself. And with this network being dissolved, you feel, I think, confidently that her work will be paused, if not outright stopped, as she has to reassess what it is that happens. And y'all are free to return home, unless there's anything else you'd like to do here.
No.
Fuck out of here. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Set this place on fire.
I mean, there are still a bunch of guards outside, but you could.
If he suggests that, that'll tempt De Niro, but he's also like you can tell his energy expenditure significantly tanked after after both things that happened tonight. So because he sort of has no fight left in him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried about my friend upstairs in the sense of if I let her live like a fucking cockroach, she will come back. And unfortunately, haunt us all. So, something needs to be done.
I have a gun.
You don't need all this anymore. Like, if your life was nothing to her, then and you can tell that like De Niro's concept of durance far under the actual capacity for what it means and the implications, but these are like terms that he understands that he's able to give to you. If your life was nothing to her, then I'm sure it would be a kindness or something like that to end it. But I don't know who she was to you.
All of you go home. I will take this, and gently takes the gun out of Freddy's hands.
Oh, we're not gonna leave you alone after the last time. Well, that was my fucking business, but no, we'll just wait for you.
I can take a day out.
Let's just go home together.
You can see he's thinking really hard about the next set of steps. Okay, I won't be gone long. And then kind of rushes back to that main area.
Yeah. Adea is where you left her. Still gagged. She is attempting to scramble out of her binds, but the reason that she freed you is that she has already tried this and she's not able to get her own. She startles, I think, when you come back into the room.
He'll walk up to her and pull the chair. 2 chairs, one for him to sit on, and he'll sit her on one. And he sits opposite her, kind of elbows on knees with the gun hanging between his legs in his hand. What would you do, Andea, in my position right now? I know you can't even fathom the idea of being under durance, but I want your opinion at the very least.
Is this rhetorical, or are you actually like ungagging her as well?
Oh no, everyone's frozen.
Oh no! Oh
Come back. Come back.
no! Oh
I think you're back.
no! Okay, cool.
Oh Lord, you all disappeared.
Was
Where did I
this
cut off?
Okay, sorry. I think that you were good. I asked, was this like a rhetorical question, or are you actually like taking the gag out and letting her answer?
Taking the gag out and let her answer.
She, I think, looks at you with those cat eyes, absolutely sort of wild feral looks between your face and the gun, and says, "Of course, I'd give you another chance. I gave you another chance inviting you here."
So you're saying, if you were in my position, you had served an extremely long durance, emotionally tortured, emotionally abused, not once, not twice, not even thrice, regularly betrayed, strung along, gaslit. And then, when given the chance to redeem oneself, betrayed yet again. Once free of your durance, still treated like that of servitude. You would give me another chance.
If you won't trust my voice, ask Marielle. Ask what she would do. You know that she wouldn't kill me. But maybe her answer is different than yours just because she's so much better than you are at serving.
I think you meant for that to be a strike on myself, a little pull on my heartstring. But you're right. Marielle is always, has always been better than me. Right now, you need me to be strong to be in your favor, Adea. And right now, I'm very weak. He cocks the gun. How much am I allowed to describe
Let me check our
on
line
this
and
producers?
We have Igor as a veil. And other than that, we don't have anything strong. So I would say
Oh.
like moderate, yeah.
Yep. He scoots his chair a little closer. And he says, I used to do everything for you, Adea. So I think there's one last thing we should do together. And he grabs her hands, unbinds them, and places them on his hands. and takes the shot.
Yeah. I think that she, as soon as you unbind her, she sort of is frozen for a second because why would you do that? And it's in that time that you bring her hands up and you take the shot and she falls backwards.
He sits there a moment. Well, that didn't fix anything. Stands up and walks.
And I think if you pass
He
De Niro at the door, he's looking to your face right now. It's not as if he read your mind in this moment, but you can also tell by looking at him that he does not look better after the previous murder. Like he looks so tired right now, and he's meeting your gaze if you look to him.
he very gently kind of slaps a hand on his back and kind of holds him at the back of the neck very gently and says, "Let's go home, mate."
I, the player, did not catch that.
Oh no.
It's okay. It was just
What
very, it
part
was
did you
so
not get?
soft. Just the thing that the verbalization that Emir said.
Oh, yeah. He just said, "Let's go home, hey."
Yeah. He claps you back and like almost rubs your head in the bird kind of way, but like leans in and then lets you go.
As they're walking, I think he silently kind of half takes Freddy's hand to see if Freddy will
I
take it.
take it.
He doesn't say anything. He just holds your hands as you walk.
Yeah. I think a lot more battered than most of you were coming up here, but successful by some measures at least. You return home. The vote will happen tomorrow, and you've rigged it in your favor. Shines the Light won't have free reign to renovate Red Row as she willed, and if she does attempt to do it again, she would need some other both financing, money laundering, and guidance, maybe this time from the community itself. And because she doesn't have that sort of guiding principle anymore, the day of eviction comes and passes with no movement, nothing actually forcing you out. People who had left their apartments before, who had been kicked out earlier, are here, that nothing is happening, that there are no guards, no construction crews, and slowly a lot of them are able to return. And I think that in the days that follow, what do y'all do? Just epilogues, any conversations or scenes you want to have as we close out.
I have one, but I'm happy to wait.
No, let's go. Emir.
I think at one point Emir goes up to Freddy's door and knocks on it lightly.
Open it, and it is very clear that I did not pack anything a little bit, so everything is just still as lived in and as like messy and everything.
Come up to the roof with me for a little.
Okay. I think she just like is whatever she's wearing. She grabs her key and locks her door. We can
And he
just
very
go.
quietly goes up so he doesn't say anything as he goes up the stairs. And he probably doesn't say anything for a long while. And he kind of like sits on the sill of the roof, like half in, because it's unsafe to go out. And he kind of like pats the stone in front of him, and waits for Freddy to kind of get comfortable. And he's kind of just looking into his lap, kind of messing with his hands. I wanted to say I'm sorry.
About
I tried to find something out. Anything. I asked Adea. And instead, she decided to use my reaching out to her as a way of making me do her dirty business yet again. So I fear that I won't ever be able to find anything out. I wanted to do that for you, but I couldn't.
to do what for me?
Give you some closure about the kid.
I mean, have given Mike an out. Presumably, whoever else. I already fucked up with the kid. It's not something person that could have come back to haunt her. Thank you for trying to do that, but for reaching out to the person who has hurt you the most is crazy. And I probably wouldn't have done the same thing.
I don't need equivalent reciprocity, Freddie. I just wanted to do something good for you, not under any necessity or servitude. I just wanted to do something for you, and I wasn't able to do that. And I guess that was more of a selfish pursuit, but I'm sorry nonetheless. It's been nice having you around, having you here in a place that is ours and not theirs.
You're not about to leave, are you?
No. Not if you want me to stay.
I do. And it has been taking me every inch of everything to not try to unearth myself again. Start a fourth life. Because there are so many things to stay here for. So many people. And I don't even think I'm talking about equivalent reciprocity either. I don't want you to get hurt because of me again.
I think that's just an ingrained risk for people that you care about. There's always a chance. He kind of shifts a little bit closer. We don't live by their rules anymore. So I think we can... I would like to leave all of that behind and start something new. I was hoping that maybe you would too.
I would love to actually get to know who you are. And I would love to get a hobby, an actual personality, maybe. And I have a feeling the group of people that we have been with this entire weeks is going to be a great start. I want to be with you in a way that matters, is tangible, is something, whatever it is specifically. It doesn't have to start with any weight in particular. Like getting married, we just can do whatever the fuck we want.
Well then. He puts out a hand. My name is Emir. It's very nice to meet you.
My name is Frederica, the Rose of Sharon, but much prefer Freddie. And I literally don't have a hobby.
I can suggest knitting. It's very relaxing.
I hear that you have magazines.
It's a nightly ritual. Calms my brain.
Okay. Knitting.
Give everything a go once.
And I think we have that little moment on the roof. And that's genuinely my epilogue as well.
Okay. Marigold, is there anything else that you would like to do?
On a different day, Marigold is not just up here on the roof while this is going on, but on a different day, we see Marigold sitting on the roof, mask off, kind of in much more casual clothes, not his like armor. In a shaft of reflected sunlight, and he is sitting on a stool with an easel in front of him and paints that do not belong to him, that haven't been touched in years. They are so crusty. And I think the camera is kind of angled so we're seeing his face over the top of the easel. We see his hands stained in browns and blues and golds. And he's kind of chuckling to himself as he paints, as he makes kind of like little details. And just kind of in his own world, in this place that he has worked so hard to build and keep and protect. And the camera kind of like slowly kind of like pans around him so that we're facing his back. And it is a truly, truly awful painting. It's so bad. I cannot stress to you how bad this painting is. Like he might as well have like done it with his fingers. But it's distinctly of the scene in front of him, not the scene in front of him, kind of the setting in front of him, the edge of the rooftop garden, and distinctly two figures kind of like lying on the ground, faces turned towards each other. And it's terrible, and it's messy, and it's beautiful, and there is hope and love and Marigold puts the finishing touches to it and kind of looks at it and kind of leans back, looking up towards the roof of the cave that Red Row is in, towards where the real sunlight is coming through by the elevator shaft. And it's just kind of like, I won't let it go to waste. To himself and to the air around him. Not the paints. Not this garden. And not this neighborhood we built together. And that's Marigold.
Rook, I'm gonna make you cry on stream. Successfully. Okay. And finally, we move to De Niro. Any
Alright.
epilogue?
Yes, I have a feeling it's going to be the saddest or whatnot. Because I think the logical thing for De Niro to do after what just happened today was attempt to go to sleep, attempt to go to job 1, attempt to go to job 2, And I think he makes it like, firstly, he can't sleep, and then he goes about 12 hours into his day and then has to leave. Like, he can't uh, continue operating as is. So he, after probably not receiving contact, not expecting contact, and not reaching out, uh, he disappears into his room, his apartment. Uh, and for like 3 days, he doesn't answer. It's unclear as to how he takes care of himself, but like people above like the floor and below, like they can hear something akin to crying, but it's very soft, like, and it's probably overcut by like people that need to unpack, people that De Niro would usually help, uh, and like the general mundane nature that was never lost, even though the upheaval was like almost destined to come about. Um, so he he cites a bodily injury as the reason why he can't go to work because he can't explain it. Um, or of course not in the way that would that anyone would understand in that moment. Um, and he, I think, like day 5, day 6, he gets tired of being tired, and he goes outside for the first time in a bit, and then he retreats, and then like the following like evening, he like goes and properly checks on Theo.
Yeah. Theo, I think, had come to your door a few times in those first few days. You heard one of them, Mrs. Jenkins, coming to collect him. And after that, he sort of stopped knocking. You think maybe she told him to wait for you to reach out.
I assume he just answers the door immediately where I find him. And I think more so than the first time that he had allowed himself to fall apart a bit. I think without greeting him necessarily, he takes him in a hug under the upper arms. And De Niro doesn't smell good. He doesn't look good. And he doesn't have much to say right now, except I didn't mean to be away. I'm sorry.
Despite you smelling bad, looking bad, Theo hugs back immediately. He's wearing the armor you gave him, though, as far as you can tell. He's just been hanging out in his apartment all day. He wraps both sets of arms around you. Says, I can help protect you too. You know, it doesn't have to be just you.
He like shakes his head, but like he's nodding in agreement at the sentence, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know what that looks like, but I can accept it." but I will also be here. Because we don't need to be alone. Being alone feels bad. Yeah, and then that's all the words that he gets out of himself.
I think Thea sort of buries his face in your chest or neck or however high he can reach. Pulls back a little after inhaling, but says still, sort of holding you close. It's Mrs. Jenkins says it's okay if you need time alone, but I know after my parents, after everything, you were there, and I haven't, even when you go off on jobs and won't let me come and won't give me a sword so I can help. I know I'm not alone because you're there, even if you're not there immediately. So
Yeah. And I'm sure I had never made this serious promise, but I won't leave you to wonder about if I'm okay. I won't. And then like he stops himself and almost like knocks his own head. Like, I feel like I should be doing something for Miss Jenkins, but also there isn't like a big enough thing that I could do, I guess. Because even when we fight over what seems silly, you're never wrong, Theo.
there's a sort of mischievous look that takes over his face. And he says, I know what you could do for Mrs. Jenkins. She mentioned it.
Okay. I did
Come
say
eat,
anything.
come eat this soup. And he will lead you over to the kitchen of his apartment, where she has left him enough food for the both of you and has been for the past week.
Okay. And he does so wordlessly. Like, of course he will. It wasn't even a question. And I don't know if you wanted to wrap that scene, but there was just one more
Yeah. What's your next
thing.
one?
It is more so like an open-ended question mark where each of the others receives something at their door one day, probably at a night because De Niro works nights and he knows that y'all probably sleep at night. So Emir is left a really large red wine bottle with a note from me that says, "Come by anytime." And Freddie is left very conspicuous shot glass with the ridiculous Pussycat logo on the bottom of it, with the same note, same signature, and Marigold is left with a flower that no one can actually be sure of whether or not it is a marigold. It is, however, a gold color that was picked from somewhere with heart involved, like a rough stem and almost all of the petals there in the same note. Come by anytime.
And I think on that note, our camera fades out and we will conclude our game of Spire. Thank you so much to my players. Thank y'all for joining us. I have been your GM, Alyssa. You can find me online at A Disaster Queer and on the next 2 Tuesdays on this channel for Madness Over Manila. I will pass it to my players for their final outros, starting with Joe.
Hello, everybody. I am Josephine at Scary Dog Freddy. I was Freddy Rose. I'm one of the co-producers of Bad House, and thank you so much for Fabs for producing today. Like Alyssa said, we have Madness Over Manila on Tuesdays. We'll be taking a break on the 21st for American Bad Holiday. And on Thursdays, you can go over to Nameless Domain for the next 2 weeks because we will be playing Liminal Horror. And I am playing another awful woman. One trick. Pass it over to Nadine.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nadine. I've been playing Emir, our resident not sad anymore boy. Healing boy. I have had an amazing time. You can find me NE_actor on the bad site or NE actor no underscore on the blue site. I've had a wonderful time. Thank you so much, GMs, producers, players. You're all fantastic, and everyone watching as well. Love to you, Rook.
Hi, I'm Rook. I have been Marigold. You can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, and itch.io and also technically Twitch, but I barely use my channel. But Twitter, Blue Sky, itch.io at RJK Games. If you're into sad and thoughtful vibes, check out some of my games. Our Love Will Destroy Us, a game about vampire hunters trying to save their vampire love from succumbing to the hunger. The Stars Will Not Go Out, a mini one-page RPG I wrote in like a couple of days about burnout, and some other hits. No.
That's one of my names. I also go by Netta and Emir, which I guess is easier now that the Emir character gets to live his own life now away from us. How beautiful is that? You can find me on Twitter at trans_father and Blue Sky at transfather. They don't like underscores over there. I'm just posting about Palestine, so you can follow whatever because I'm not creating anything in this moment because I guess why, that's a big existential as to why when things are so hard. But like we're not alone, so that makes it easier, I think. The people that are against us have names and addresses, so we should do what we can to make them remember that. Yes, and as I say every week, thank you so much, Alyssa. This is always a delight. This is my first long form campaign that I've finished, so feels really great. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you again to Bad House in general and Fab specifically for producing tonight. And yeah, that's it for us. Have a good time zone, y'all. Bye.
Fuck landlords. Bye.